Never told anyone this before. Pick related is the closest thing I can find to save some explanation. Use bus often with mum and brother. I'm around 6 and brother is around 12. We couldn't be more different. He's much more loud and a troublemaker, whereas I am really quiet and well behaved. Despite this, I see him as my role model and copy the stupid things he does, which I get reprimanded for every single time, while my brother is more of a lost cause. Pick related is a double-decker bus. I know not all countries have them. The important part is on the left, where there is a gap with a red bar on it before the stairs. That's a luggage compartment behind the driver's seat. Obviously, it's for luggage. Also, obviously, my troublemaking brother will always sit inside of it if there is no seats, or sometimes if there is seats, he just likes causing trouble. Bus drivers go berserk if they catch you in there. Anyway, this one day, it's just me and my mom. Awful day, really dark clouds, torrential rain. I'm sure you know what British summertime is like. Get on the bus, and it is absolutely packed with people. No seats. Only small, so people's dirty wet coats and pants rub on my face. Decide I'm going to be based and climb in the luggage compartment. Let go of my mom's hand and lie, telling her I found a seat. Climb in luggage compartment. It's really fucking dark, cramped, and full of people's wet bags. More people come on and throw their bags inside. Feels like I'm falling, but there is nowhere to fall to. Look behind me. My back end is hanging through the floor, but what I can see is not machinery, or nothing you would expect. I'm looking down on a bright sunny town, with people walking about, carrying out their business, oblivious to me. Get yanked out of the compartment, and the whole bus looks pissed off. Mom is crying. Driver stopped the bus while my mom could not find me, and no one was allowed off. Overreacting, only in there 90 seconds. Was missing for 30 minutes in total. Hanging out with a friend near a creek on our way home from school. Crazy burned out old hippie suddenly appears. He's wearing short cut-off shorts and no shirt. He's holding a large rock and screaming, "Do you want me to bash your heads in?" Never seen somebody so enraged in my life. He keeps accusing us of harassing some girls. There were never any girls anywhere near there that day. Cops pull up. Apparently he called the cops and told them that we were harassing some girls. The cop keeps telling the hippie to drop the rock. Hippie tells cop he was protecting himself from us. Cops put friend and I in squad car and drive a few blocks away. Lets us out and warns us to stay away from that guy's house. Apparently, this hippie had a really bad out-of-body trip a long time ago and beat the living shit out of some young girls. He gets flashbacks about it and thinks other people are attacking girls and tries to save them. Friends and I continue to walk by his house on our way home from school. All the hippie ever does all day is drink Seagram 7 whiskey and watch the news. We start peeking in the window and listening to the news. It's the same news every day. He's recorded the news on an old VHS. It's a report of 3 young women beaten within inches of their lives at a local musical festival. The guy literally drank himself into a blackout every day while watching the news report about his violent bad trip. He would often get so drunk he would confuse the VHS with reality, and the first person he would see he assumed was the girl's assailant. We stopped walking by his house after we realized how unhinged the guy was. He was like some kind of benevolent crime fighter in his own deranged mind. Surprised there aren't more stories about cornfields. There was this one. Gillespie cornfield outside of Perry. Every Halloween, go on a long run with my friends from high school to Gillespie Field. There was a path through the corn wide enough for perhaps a tractor that led to a large circle. Not quite like a crop circle, but it sure gave off that sort of vibe. B17, Halloween 2010. Lots of Marine friends and Hunter friends this year. Friends of friends this year. Huge ass fucking party. We eventually had to start pulling cars out of the circle because it was getting to be too crowded with 6 cars worth of people. It's getting to be 2 in the morning. People starting to drift out. About 20 people left in all. Hey Anon, come get some of this beer. At age 17, you can imagine I was pretty thrilled to be allowed in on the older kids' games and all that. There was this super hot chick, Trina, I don't remember, who was all over me, drunk as a fish in a whiskey barrel, but all over me. Too shy to initiate anything, but I did get to see her boobs because she took her top off. Dwindled down to 10 or so people. Me, 5 hunter friends, 3 marine friends, and 2 civilians, not including me. Let's make a fucking bonfire. 10 minutes later, there is a huge fire pit going, and we are dancing around it, pretending to be Native Americans doing a ritual, laughing, and having a good ass time. No big deal, right? Hush washes over everyone. We all got the same rush of sudden unease and anxiety. Everybody frees, more or less in the positions we've been dancing in. Goofy as shit, but nobody dares to make a sound. Only sounds are the sounds of the giant fire in the pit. Standing around for almost a minute before somebody whispers, "What happened to all the crickets and shit?" No wind, no crickets, no birds, no nothing. So we stop dancing, thoroughly put off, and my buddy Joseph, a hunter, goes, "Guys, I'm gonna go get my rifle." Murmur of agreement. The other hunters break off to go with Joseph and grab their shit. Mostly pistols and knives besides Joe. Marine buddies, Kate, Samuel, and Ed, sit down in what I can roughly describe as a perimeter sort of thing around me and the other no training folks. At this point, we are too nervous and anxious to talk. We are barely breathing. There is not a noise, just the fire pit's crackling and a slight rustle in the corn, and it's starting to get a little disconcerting. We sort of stuck close together and kept wide worried eyes on the stalks. Kate says, something is not right. Mutual agreement, but nobody can put a finger on it. Ed sucks in a breath, and everybody jumps a bit and looks over at him. If the wind is gone, what the fuck is making the corn stalks rustle? Swear to God, I nearly pissed myself right the fuck there. We are all about 5 seconds and a sneeze away from needing a change of clothes when Joe comes back, white as a sheet, alone. Joe is pulling the bolt back on his rifle and sprinting back to the campfire circle. Tosses his pistol to Ed. "Joe, what the fuck happened? You look like you saw Sam's mom." Joe sort of glares at Ed and then hisses, "Don't you fucking joke right now. There is something in the corn." "You what, mate?" "There is something in the corn. I'm not fucking around." Now see, around here, we're used to big dogs, large crows, even the occasional oversized cat. So everybody sort of gives Joe this slanty-eyed, "the fuck are you saying" sort of look, like he's trying to freak everybody out more. We keep trying to get him to tell us where the others are, what happened to the other 4 he went off with. Says they stayed at the cars to protect them. Rustling in the corn, Joe immediately wheels and takes a shot. Right next to my fucking ear. "Joe, you cocksucker." Immediately, feelings of fear and anxiety intensify. Some sort of low whimpering noise is coming out of the corn now. Joe is gibbering like a fucking drunk, muttering incoherently. I'm about to take the rifle from him when I notice that he's got some sort of black slime smeared on his pant leg. Then I nearly shit myself again, because what crawled out of the corn was not a dog. Not in the strictest sense, I guess. It was shambling sort of awkwardly, with what looked like a broken leg, maybe a dislocated shoulder. It looked like it had, at some point in time, been some sort of hound dog, a black or dark brown bloodhound. There was chicken wire wound around its neck like a noose, and it was coated in flies. There was black sludge dripping from its jowls and oozing out of a bullet hole near its right eye, which was itself drooling that same black crap like tears. Joe lost his fucking mind at this point. Sam and I had to wrestle the rifle away from him. No more greentext. It's hard for me to keep up. This shit still gives me the shakes. It kept shambling out of the corn towards us, wheezing and spitting that black shit onto the ground. The flies numerous enough that I could almost hear them buzzing from across the clearing. Joe is fucking losing his mind, collapsed on the ground, and was trying to go fetal as me and my marine friends tried to haul him away. The dog just kept walking, and as it kept coming, it dragged something else out of the corn behind it, attached to the chicken wire wound around its neck. It took a second for me to piece it together in the light of the fire, but attached to the end of this morbid fucking umbilical cord was a beating heart, like a bear-sized, still bleeding, leaking heart, thumping away and leaking that black sludge shit. The flies were having a field day with it. The dog had no eyes for us. It was staring directly at the fire, like it was mesmerized or something. It dragged itself off kilter towards the fire, wheezing and spitting and sobbing, the heart beating excitedly on the chicken wire behind it. Its back legs were mangled, and it sort of dragged itself along on its front legs and one back leg. The fucking weird thing is, as it got closer to us, I swear to God, I thought I could hear some sort of words every time the dog wheezed and whimpered and cried. I did not stick around to listen. Nobody else did either. We grabbed Joe and fucking beat feet back to where the path to the cars was, making a wide berth around the dog and its cargo. Before I left, I had to watch. I'm pretty sure the others had the same feeling as me because they weren't very far ahead of me when the show was over. I stopped and watched as it dragged itself, heaving and coughing, closer to the fire. The flies did not even veer away when it stuck its head in the fire. It burned like someone had tossed a tire in there. It stunk something fucking fierce. I just had to watch because the dog did not stop moving when it had been engulfed by the pit. The chicken wire kept moving, dragging the heart into the flames after the dog until they were both gone, and the only way anybody could have known it was there was the trail of black sludge on the ground and the smell of burning rubber. We were halfway home when I finally looked over at Joe. There was something that had been bothering me since the thing had gotten close enough to us for me to really hear it. I asked Joe what it had said to him, because I was almost positive that was why he'd been so fucking freaked out. It had been next to him in the corn, and he'd heard it speaking to him. At first, I thought maybe I was wrong, because he gave me this weirded out glare and would not say anything. Then he took a deep breath, and he leaned over to me, and he whispered this sentence in my ear. "Come with me. I'll bring you home." And for a second, I felt very cold, because that was what I heard too. What I think I saw that night was Beelzebub. I'm not a noob, so I know that Beelzebub is not the devil, not in the actual rhetoric. He is the Lord of the Flies. I don't know why he appeared to us that night, what he wanted, or what brought him there. I don't even know if what we saw really was a demon. Maybe it was just something in the corn. There's lots of stuff in the corn nobody really wants to talk about. At any rate, I moved out of Iowa, so I don't have to worry about the corn or what I saw. I should probably try to reconnect with my friends, but I'm afraid. I'm afraid that I'll find out that Joe died in a fire or slit his own wrists. Sometimes, I have nightmares about that event, and I think maybe Joe does too, which is why I'm afraid that I'll find he lit himself on fire. I keep a matchbook under my pillow, because sometimes I kind of want to do it, just to see what it would be like. Be me. Work as a cook in a dive. It's around midnight in a weekday and we are closing. Kitchen is closed. I'm cleaning. The waitress comes to the kitchen, saying some strange people came demanding for food. Boss told me to do it. Fuck. But okay, I get paid for overtime. Waitress tells me to take a look on them. A middle-aged couple and 3 teenagers. Never saw them around. I've grown up in this neighborhood, and I know everybody. They came walking, no car in sight. Anon, look at their faces. It looked like they were using those realistic face silicone masks, but the texture was leathery. They ordered 22-ounce beers and 2 loaded fries. 3 fucking pounds of loaded fries. Made the fries and sent them. Turned off the fryer again. 5 minutes later, the plates come back empty. But not empty. They were full of saliva. I think it was saliva, because that is the only thing I can think of. Some translucent, foul-smelling goo. 1 huge puddle of saliva on each plate. Go take a second look at them. They pay and leave quickly, speaking only the most necessary words. They leave on foot. Empty beers at the table. The teenagers drank nothing. Waitress says they devoured the fries and drank the beer like fucking beasts. Didn't hear them talking to each other at all. Next day, my boss does not remember it happening. Never saw the family again. It was 2 years ago, and I still don't know what happened. Sorry about my bad green texting skills. I'm a tourist from CK, and mostly a looker. Be in a parking lot. A couple in their 50s approaches me. The men start yelling that I have to immediately drive them to the hospital, because his wife is in danger. I pull out my phone and tell them I call an ambulance. He screams that there is no time for that. The woman was rocking, so I got stressed and agreed that I will take them to the hospital. We get into my car. I start driving. Suddenly, their facial expressions change. Go that way, the man orders me. I realize I just fucked up. The man keeps ordering me which way to go. The woman says she knows everything about me. I want to stop, but the man points to his bag as if he had something he could hurt me with there. I eventually just stop the car, take my keys, get out, and leave them in there. After 2 minutes, they get out. The woman took my book I had in the car and asked me if she could take it with her. I tell her yes. They leave. Be me. Couple years ago now. Be in New Orleans with buddies for a summer trip. Be at a bar one night. I'm minding my own business. Couple is sitting across from me. They seem pretty strange. Notice they have sunglasses on. Indoors. With lights on. Strange, but okay. Buddies arrive, and we order food. Watch the TV, and just bullshit. Sneak a look at the weird couple. One is this tall white dude, maybe 6'3". The other is this sort of Asian looking girl. She was about a foot, maybe less shorter than him. Go to the bathroom. Taking the worst, most painful constipation shit ever. Hear someone come in. See through the stall. It's the weird guy with the sunglasses on. This sudden heavy feeling comes down on me, like I should be very afraid of this man. Notice from the crack of the stall door that his reflection is weird. It's distorted, like it was fuzzy. It's a few minutes before he leaves, but it felt like hours. Eventually, I return out to hang with my friends. The feeling of fear, maybe dread, is back. I see this strange couple conversing about. I see the man. He seems to look at me. Can't make out what they're saying. Pretend to not notice that they are giving me looks. Brush it off and go back to just chilling. Little while later, the bar food does not agree with my stomach. Run out the back entrance to around the dumpster to puke. After throwing up, I feel myself being thrown to the ground. It's the man in the sunglasses. He pulls me up and pins me against the dumpster. I don't know who you are, but you agree you saw nothing, correct? I stutter. You fucking saw nothing, got it? Nod in agreement. He lets go of me. The girl seemingly showed up out of nowhere. Head back into the bar. Turn around and see they are gone. Nowhere in sight. Okay. Nobody ever fucking believes me, man. But shit. This shit is real. I was never into shitty fetish stuff. Always straight as a fucking board, man. Happened to me when I was more or less young and kinda good looking. At least, better looking than now. That might explain why she chose me. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. So one time, I got a bacterial lung infection and had to be put into a hospital. They treated me with IV antibiotics and took blood samples every 10 to 12 hours to check if the stuff is working or not. So with all the IVs and blood work, a nurse had to stick a needle into my vein almost every few hours to change the IV or take some blood or give me that saline water bag thing, etc. Every single nurse in the hospital did the stick the needle into the vein absolutely painlessly because they probably did this a bazillion times. But there was this one nurse, a small blonde girl I was stuck with over the weekend. She had 2 shifts, one after another, who yanked the needle, seemingly on purpose when she was changing it. Since the needle was in a vein, blood started spilling out, and dude, that girl froze up, staring at the little blood fountain pumping out. She was just looking at the blood going down my arm like a statue, and she had those crazy fuck me eyes as she did, like she was looking at something that turned her on. Then she snapped out of it and wiped my arm, stopped the blood, got really, really apologetic and sad, almost teary-eyed. I said that it was okay, and then I told her that I'm so bored lying down all the time that this was the most exciting thing that happened to me all week, especially that part when she just looked at my blood flowing and did nothing. When she heard that, she stopped her "I'm so very, very sorry" shtick and was like, "Yeah? You liked it, huh?" and smiled before going to see another patient in another room. Okay, I just realized OP wanted mental hospital stories, but fuck it, I'll finish my tale anyway. Next time that weird chick came to change my needle, she did it completely painlessly, just like every other nurse did before. But then, her hand still on the needle in my vein, she just looked me in the eye, questioningly. Like, she wasn't saying anything, but I knew she was asking for permission to bleed me a little again. So I was like, do it, lol. And she fucking yanked that needle so hard, blood literally came out in a tiny fountain, pumping up into the air a fraction before spilling over my forearm. She closed the little wound with her fingers, no gloves, and just held them there, and just sat on my bed, frozen, breathless, just looking at the blood between her fingers. And the weirdest shit is I did not feel pain this time. I was too sick to get a hard on, but I felt like all warm inside, like butterflies and shit. It was the closest to a sexual experience without having sex that I've ever been in. Then she put her other hand on my face, and I guess like, petted me, like a dog. Then she stopped the bleeding, and went to see the others again. This happened 3 more times, just like described, but she sat in my bed, once on my fucking lap. Then her shift was over, and after a day or so with normal nurses, I kinda sobered up, and started thinking what the fuck was this shit even? Why did I enjoy it? What the fuck was she? I got released and never looked back, but I saw her in my dreams a few times. The OP's barely disguised fetish. I've been wondering about something for a few years that I haven't really talked about to anyone, and I just wanted to get a few thoughts. Back in high school, in my freshman biology class, a teacher assistant came to help the class. All friends say guy looked really sketchy, old man in a black trench coat with fedora, straight out of a spy movie. Teacher reluctantly agreed to let him stay. Old guy claims he was going to be helping students with their work. He then comes straight to me where I was sitting. Throughout the whole ordeal, he did not even bother with helping other kids and stays next to me the whole time he was in class. Everyone starts working in groups, but old guy insists I work alone with him. After I finish, he starts chatting with me. He says he knows a fun trick in which he can look at how I write my name and tell me stuff about my life. I agree, since I had nothing else to do. I write my name for him, and he starts talking about details about my life that no one really knows except for close family. Then he starts talking about experiences that I have had that he could not possibly know, and problems I've been dealing personally with at home. Everything he is saying is correct, and I start getting freaked out. He keeps saying stuff in such detail. In the end, he says that I am destined for greatness, and that a lot of people will know my name. I awkwardly chuckled, and then he gets up to leave for his next classroom assignment, or so he says. Bell rings, and I decide to look for him to ask him what he meant about my future. Can't find him. Ask someone in the administration team about this older man and where I could find him. Lady says teacher assistants were women only, and only male teaching assistant is in his mid-20s. Never see the guy on campus again. I remember reading a story from somebody in Missouri who saw tall white figures near a tree line on the other side of a field. They started running, not away or from the tree line, but sort of parallel to the tree line because that was the direction of home. And they said the thing followed them while keeping its distance, and eventually, the thing stopped following them. Me and my mom saw those fucking things once when I was a kid. My dad was out of town, and we'd let one of our German shepherds in for added protection and security. Wonderful dog. We were just sitting there, watching a late movie, back when network stations still did that, when all of a sudden, the dog started growling. One of those deep growls you can feel in the floor. Then he cut loose with his serious bark, and tore out for the back door. It was one of those sliding glass doors, and when we got there, he was standing up with his front paws on the glass, alternating between barks and whines. My mom started to say, "What is it, boy?" but she stopped mid-sentence because she saw them too. I was 6 years old and scared shitless. I did not want to say, and was dying to say at the same time. I crept up next to my mom and got the only look I got. There were 2 tall, white figures, back just inside the tree line. I could not make out much detail, but I got the impression they weren't wearing clothing. That's why the ending of Close Encounters still fucks with me. The weirdest thing ever to happen to me was, I was a junior in high school and was driving around with my friend. He was driving. We knew where we were, in a town about 15 minutes away from where we lived, but it wasn't like we had the area memorized. We were just cruising around, getting high, and nothing exciting was happening. We turned down some road, and poof, we turned a corner, and we were like 15 plus miles away from where we were. We instantly turned to each other, jaws dropped and wide-eyed, and said pretty much the same thing. Dude, what the fuck is going on? Did we just teleport? We were just in Lyle, and now we're in X town. We drove all the way back to where the road was that we went down, absolutely convinced that we had found some fucking portal and the road that we turned on wasn't there. It was just a field that was fenced. I will never forget how fucking wild that was. Even more insane was I don't think we ever talked about it past that night. I don't even remember it until every 5 to 7 years, and I'll think on it for a brief second and then go on about my day. 2nd grade at Longfellow in St. Paul. Finally ask a teacher what's down this huge vent by the gym. It was just this big grate in the wall, taller than all of the kids, and there were pipes in it, covered in dust, and air was always blowing up from the basement. That's the cellar where we keep Longfellow's body. What the heck, Dot Crayons? Talk to the other kids about it. They all know already, and tease me or don't care. Keep trying to figure out where the door leading to the basement is. It's in the cafeteria, which is right next to the gym. It's always locked. One day it isn't, because one of the janitors is plugged into an outlet or something. I just remember that there was an extension cord running from out of it, and a doorstop was in. Go down. Cement stairs. See the vent from below, the dusty pipes, etc. No dead bodies, no coffins. Bunch of pipes and machines and normal basement things. Go around a corner behind the stairs. There is a bunch of costumes hanging from a rack, like pick related. One of them is the police dog costume used in a police visit. Think, oh yeah, I learned something cool. Move some of the costumes over to start looking. The fucking police dog lifts its hand and grabs me, shaking the whole rack. Whoever is inside starts yelling, "What are you doing down here? What are you doing down here? What are you doing down here?" Janitor comes down and picks me up. The person in the dog suit keeps screaming at me as we go upstairs. Janitor just puts his hand up to his mouth in a shh. I'm standing there, crying. Can hear him running down the steps. Just hear low thumps like what, and muffled yelling. Loud muffled crying. Principal runs down next. They talk to my parents, etc. Nobody ever fucking gave me an explanation, and my dad can't remember it. This happened to me when I was in college a long time ago. Still the weirdest thing to happen to me by far. Driving from U of Oregon in Eugene, back home to Boise for fall break. Get started late. By the time I hit Central Oregon, it's dark. For those not familiar with the area, once you get east of the Cascades, it starts to get real isolated, real fucking quick. Driving on 2-lane highway through the dark when I hit something in the road. Probably some shit that fell off someone's truck. Engine starts making weird noises, and check engine light comes on. Fuck. Start looking for a place to pull off, and try to find a mechanic. Pull onto this farm to a market road. Drive about a mile, and see a farm supply store with the lights still on. Couple locals sitting outside, drinking and smoking. I get out, and try to introduce myself, but they're acting bizarre as fuck. Start losing their shit over how nice my car is, and how they never see anything like it out there. My car is some rusted piece of shit, imported from God knows where. Next, they start talking about how amazing my shoes are. My broke ass literally brought these shoes from some tweaker in downtown Portland after my old ones gave out. Creeped out by these guys, decide to go inside. Kind looking old dude at the counter. When he sees me walk in, he starts ranting incomprehensibly about some numbers that grow in the soil. What the fuck is this place? Look around the shop. Pretty typical looking country store. Look in one of the seed bins. It's filled with fucking gummy bears. Alright, fuck this. Rush out of there. Decide to take my chances with the car. I've driven down that road multiple times, but I've never been able to find that weird fucking gummy bear store again. I try not to think about it.